A while ago, I made a video titled The EarthMC Culture. In that video, I talked about stuff like the political landscape of EarthMC, but something I didn't touch on was the building aspect of the culture, which was a big swing and a miss on my part because that could very well be the biggest aspect of the EarthMC culture. So instead of leaving it as is, I thought I would make another video today talking solely about that aspect of the server. We're going to talk about different types of builds and where they come from. Before this video starts, make sure you do subscribe. We are at about 800 subscribers, so if we keep up the growth for the next few months, we should make it to 1,000 subscribers before the summer, as I'd hoped for. But obviously the growth came because of our attempt to get there, so I would appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel to keep the growth going. Building is the core of EarthMC. I mean, without building, why would we really play on it? Nations' economies, besides mining, usually rely on building. Nations like New Jersey couldn't make income without selling their builds, while some nations go a different route and don't worry about their building at all, instead focusing on conquering or getting gold in other ways. Today, though, I'm going to be talking about the different regional styles from around the world. Quick disclaimer, this is the main style of the area. There are many exceptions. Let's start off with the really easy one. You all know it, you have all seen it. It's the American-style nations. This is what I've known for my whole time on EarthMC, as I've lived in the area since I started playing on the server. You have the skyscrapers that you'll see like somewhere in New York, with lots of 2 or more story buildings. Then you get to the residential areas where a suburban style is most likely used. A 1 or 2 story building made out of wood or concrete. You all know what I'm talking about. Notable nations like New York, Michigan, Cascadia use this style. Then you move further up into Canada. It's a bit more of a tundra American hybrid. You'll see more spruce and wooden structures, but you'll also see very American looking builds. You'll see the same skyscrapers in towns, but once you get into the residential area, you'll most likely see some more wooden houses than you would in America. I've also noticed a lot of walls around Canadian towns. I'm not 100% sure why this is, but I think it's because of the more imperial look and feel of Canada. Finally, you get to the iconic look tundra. Most, if not all, of the towns in this culture have spruce or dark oak almost everything. You'll see more settlement-like cities, maybe a tent made out of wool along with the more medieval-style housing. Most of these towns don't have much of a downtown since there aren't many notable nations in the far north, so it's a very cozy feel. Then we jump across the Pacific Ocean to talk about the most notable hybrid culture, the Russian tundra hybrid. Most of Russia has a style that is very tundra-like, spruce forts, medieval housing. Almost all of central Russia looks like this. But when you move more towards Europe or Asia, the styles start changing more towards that of its neighbor. On the European side, you'll see more stone bricks, and the spruce will not be as widespread. While on the Asian side, you'll see more Japanese-style builds, but it's also very tundra-like. Nations like Far are located here. Far is very interesting because it's basically the definition of the tundra culture. Is a fort with walls around it, and spruce housing everywhere. Then we go to Eastern Asia, where there's a bit less of an obvious culture. You'll see a lot of these Asian-style houses, as seen in the nation Asia, but you'll also come to see these Japanese or Tokyo-style downtown buildings. Then we get to European, one of the most iconic styles of building. You see it most notably in nations like France. Connected buildings that are 2 stories tall, very dense downtowns, using sandstone or terracotta. Even in Britain, though it's a bit different, you'll also see this style. And the whole town can look like this. They can be houses and shops. Though I will say the residential in Britain is noticeably different from that of France or Spain. You also see a lot of landmarks in these nations, because obviously there's a lot of history in Europe. So there's always a cool landmark you can put in your town. Now the name doesn't tell you this, but this culture is very large. It engulfs all of Africa besides Madagascar. But then it also moves up into Central Asia, with Israel and Kazakhstan. It's very desert-like, sandstone buildings, such as those in Nubia, as well as walls around the town. As I said, I think Nubia is a perfect representation of this culture. The whole main town is the exact style I'm talking about here. Staying on the equator, we jump across the ocean to Central America and the Caribbean. They have a Saharan-like feel to their town, but it's more colorful and tropical. The obvious example is Cuba, where they have the same style building throughout the town, and a different color for all of them. You also see this in Yucatan, where you have almost the exact same style for all the buildings. This is a style I would definitely try out at some point. It looks nice and it's easy to build as long as you have the base design. As we look at our final 2 cultures, we see them as a bit of outliers, or just hybrids. First of which is South America. They have this tropical style mixed with that of European, as seen in nations like Argentina. But then you go to the Andes and you see a whole different style with nations like Inca. The continent is a bit of a wild card, as you see a few different types. But the general norm is that of Argentina, a hybrid of Latin America and Europe. The final culture here is another wild card, Australia. This is the most random continent I've seen culturally. Nations like Australia just go out there with this not even town-like feel. Same goes for Outback. I don't know why this is a style, but the whole nation is very messy building-wise, and I can't really find a median style here. So that's it for our look at the styles around the world, so I thought I'd say which are my favorites and give you my ranking. My least favorite has to be Australia, since I don't 100% know what it is. It's such a wild card, I don't really know what I would build. Next is Eastern Asia, which I also don't really care about. Not much creativity involved, and the normal building style isn't one I really would like to do. Then comes the Saharan African. This is somewhere I'd like to make a town because of the riches of selling sand, as well as not having to worry about imperial nations that want to conquer us. Then after that probably comes South America. It's a cool style, and I don't know if I'd be able to personally build it well, but it's cool. Then we have Russian Tundra Hybrid. This is a lot like Tundra, but it's just not that special. Like, if you really want to go for it, just go all the way and go for Tundra. I also don't really want to move to Russia that much. There's not much going on. It's kind of boring. It's all just a big forest. And then probably Latin America. I'd like to try this personally, but I don't know how much I'd be able to... Then probably Latin America. I'd like to try this personally, but I don't know how much I enjoy it as a style just overall, like when I'm touring and stuff for videos. Then comes Tundra. It's a very cool style, don't get me wrong, and I'd enjoy building a Tundra town, like the middle of Alaska or something up there. I just don't have it as my number one pick. Into the top 3 we go. I have Canada. It's a lot like Tundra, but I can also mix in some American. It would be a very good mixture of 2 very nice styles. Number 2 will be European style. You can make a lot out of Europe. If it wasn't so crowded, I could do well there right now. I definitely want to try this in the future. And no surprise, number 1 is America. I've done this my whole time on EarthMC, and I don't feel like stopping. I enjoy the style a lot because of how close to home it is. I love building skylines and building real-life cities from America, like my last few towns. Especially my last town, Myrtle Beach, where I basically just copied the downtown of the real-life city, which I think is really nice. Anyways, that's where I'll end this video. I could make some more culture videos if I missed something, but for now, this is where I'll leave it. If you made it this far, consider subscribing and join my Discord. I don't really advertise that very much, but I do have a Discord and it's very active. Thank you all very much for watching. Geshgali, I hope you enjoyed it. Toothbrush.